Okay. All right, I think we are live.
Sorry.
Hi, YouTube. Tamara here, and it is the Write Stuff Tweet Chat Google Hangout. We do this probably once every 2 months or so, loosely. And tonight's topic is just going to be about writing. If you have any questions, you can send them on Twitter at #WriteStuff, or are they able to view the group chat?
If you
I'm
go,
not sure. I know that you can put questions in the YouTube comments.
they were
And
viewing Quotidian Light and Shira Tours were viewing it either last time or the time before, but neither one of them could really talk. They just had to write in stuff, I think, because I think that was the one where Quotidian Light kept going in and out, like I was doing a minute ago. So I don't know where they view it, but I know they can.
all right. Well, wherever you could view us and send us questions, we will try to find them and answer them. It's 3 in the afternoon here, so you're probably going to hear a lot of ambient sounds. Everyone's getting home from work, and they're taking their trash out. So, my name is Tamara. I host Write Stuff Tweet Chat, where writers talk about writing. I have a blog, penpaperpad.com, and I have a YouTube channel where I talk about books and writing and do author interviews. Amy, would you like to introduce yourself and the Burgess?
Oh, yes. Hey, I'm Amy. I usually talk about writing to passion, have a blog, and all that crazy jazz. There's a link below. You can check me out there and have a cup of tea virtually with me. Oh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Burgess Taylor, and I'm a coffee addict and a very frustrated non-tech person right now, but I'm okay. And I like writing and art journaling and poetry and typewriters.
Typewriters are pretty sweet, I must admit.
That's my new thing. I found one that is red and it is gorgeous. Oh, but it's like way too much money.
I am really wanting to buy a typewriter, but it hasn't happened yet. Womp womp.
I don't have any desire. I think I read too much of In Search of Lost Time and House and talking about how to get paper and like write on top of it and then paste it up top, and it has no. It's sort of only for aesthetic appeal, but nothing for it to actually work on.
Let's see. So I'm looking in the Write Stuff chat, and Of the Wilds has asked us if anyone is working on anything specific right now. So
I'm writing.
Go on.
NaNo. I'm writing. The one I start, the witchy one I started back in November.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I'm back to it. I took a long hiatus from it and actually went to reread it and was like, oh wow, this is way better than I thought back in November when I was like, so I'm redoing some things on it and actually working on it. I have right at like almost 7,000 words. That I'm not including what I wrote before. I'm just using bits and pieces of it and redoing.
So what's your word count goal?
For camp, it's 20,000. I have vacation this month, my birthday, physical therapy, and all that good stuff, so I didn't put a big one. Normally, I do 50.
Yeah, I just do 50 for November. The camps, I like to keep it light so that the words that I do create are words that I'm more likely to keep. Yeah, so I am also doing Camp NaNo, and I am writing on Blood Roses and Honeysuckles, which was an old manuscript that I put aside for a very long time and rediscovered in April. So in April, I had my goal count was 20K, and I think I hit 15 So this time around it's also 20K, and I am at a little under 1,000. So I got some writing to do.
Didn't you just get back from West Virginia?
Yeah, I got back on Thursday. I was supposed to get back on Wednesday, but there was a whole thing, and I ended up missing my flight and had to reschedule the next day, and et cetera, blah, blah, blah. I'm here.
Wow.
So, Amy, what are you working on?
Well, I am not doing Camp NaNo because I am in editing, and I just I reprinted my story, so this will be, I think, technically the fifth draft. So I am making comments and trying to read them, and like it's only been 2 days. I've been working on it, and I'm only on page like 36. I'm like, there's so much to fix, so much to fix.
Amy and I were going to exchange manuscripts at the end of August, and unless mine is super horrible, like if it's incredibly terrible, then I'm not going to let you read it yet.
No, it's okay. I don't mind if it's horrible. I'm sure. I hope mine's not as horrible as it is right now by then.
Oh gosh. So, so let's talk a little bit about procrastination, because I feel like that's the killer for any of the nanos if you procrastinate. So how do you guys kind of work against the tendency to procrastinate? Or do you even have that tendency?
I just vlogged about that. I procrastinated on and off the whole beginning of this Camp NaNo. Part of it was because of pain. Part of it was because I was just in a really bad mood after getting diagnosed with the fact that I might have to have surgery in 2 months again when I just had surgery in February. So depression and anxiety played a bit in that. I wasn't in the mood to write. So I journaled about my story, and I kind of, doodled a little bit, character names, some things I wanted to change, that kind of stuff. But I didn't write a damn thing. For the first, I think I wrote a total of 250 words because it was words. It just wasn't actual novel. And then the next day, I think I wrote 500 words, and only about 200 of that was actual novel. But I counted it because it's camp, and I'm a rebel, and I can do that shit. So, But I mean, it wasn't until the third day where I actually got in the writing mood. And no matter what I told myself those first couple of days, I did everything and anything that my husband would allow me to do, because he put me on timeout. And because of the doctor, he was like, "You're not doing a damn thing." So I was relegated to the recliner with the laptop. And most people would enjoy that, but it about drove me crazy. And I guess that was why I just couldn't get it, the writing thing. I just couldn't. So I finally procrastinated enough to the point where I was not real happy with myself. And I knew if I didn't go ahead and start writing, I wouldn't. And I would just say the hell with it.
I don't really procrastinate that much. I usually have a built-in day off or two, and those allow me to relax and either do nothing or work on something that I didn't have time to do. I usually don't procrastinate that much. Yeah.
I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't.
I am a procrastinating queen. I am absolutely awesome at it. I excel. I used to have, I remember in, can you guys hear that?
Is that a kid or a cat?
I think it's someone's kid. Okay. In college, I had a Garfield poster, and I think it said, I'm the president of the procrastination support group, and we'll have a meeting sometime in the future. Yeah. So I have a very big tendency to procrastinate, and I have to work really hard at not doing it and not giving into that. And one of the ways, with Camp NaNo, one of the ways I'm doing that is doing the daily videos, because I feel really embarrassed when I have to say, oh, and by the way, my word count hasn't increased in a week. How you doing? Like, it just makes me feel really bad. So I have to put up accountability safeguards. And even I'm a freelance writer, so on the day-to-day I'm writing. One of the ways that I keep myself going is by being a part of groups with other writers, so everyone's talking about all the stuff that they're getting done, and that makes me want to get more things done. So accountability is really big for me.
Is that why you started this?
I actually didn't start this.
Oh.
This was a project that I picked up from somebody else. There's this Facebook group that used to do this all the time, same date, and it kind of, no one was doing it anymore. They did it pretty consistently for maybe a year or two. So I volunteered to pick it up because I really liked the concept of chatting with people weekly about writing, and I've changed it. I think I've changed it a lot. It was just everyone was kind of chatting as they would about different topics, and I kind of made it, I guess, a little more, I gave it structure because I work better in a structured environment. So in my head, I pretend that everyone else does. So I gave it structure because I wanted it to be something where we could talk to other authors and we could maybe have guests and do stuff like Google Hangouts, and it would be kind of organic and part of the whole thing. So yeah, I need to do a post about the history of Write Stuff because I think it's kind of interesting. And yeah.
How did you start it?
Let's see. Gosh, I wish I had something already written out. I think it was, I think Adrian Smith actually started Write Stuff as a tweet chat. But she ended up kind of, going on and doing her own things, and then someone else inherited it, and then someone else inherited it. And let me see if, yeah, Amy at Amy Unchained, she was one of the people who was in the Facebook group who I met through Write Stuff. So maybe she knows a little bit more about the history if she wants to share via the tweet chat. But that's that. Let's see, are there any questions anywhere?
Yeah, I got one from Blues Girls 1980. She's asking, how does she see comments? She commented on I believe, the YouTube, like on the YouTube video itself. I just wanted to tell her and anybody else listening who's wondering where everybody is and might be confused is I think most people are on Twitter using the hashtag #WriteStuff, and Tamara and I were, and everybody live part is watching Twitter, so you can comment either on the YouTube video this is at or on the Twitter at #WriteStuff, and we'll see all your comments and questions as they pop up. So wherever you want to hang out over there. I think most people are on Twitter, though.
Yep. Well, Amy, do you have a question that you want us to answer?
Yeah. So I'm working on my synopsis, and I was wondering if anybody has any synopsis writing tips.
When I write a synopsis, really when I write anything, I try to start with the information that's kind of the most important and then work my way down from there. I think in terms of newspapers, but I don't know if that's the best for a synopsis. And of course, you can't tell all of the most important information because then why would they need to read the book?
Well, it's a synopsis, so you're supposed to tell them everything that happens, like the big main points. So this is like to give to the editors and stuff. At least this one that I'm doing is for. So I started by trying to do like a sentence about each chapter, and I'm like, oh my, this is taking forever, and I'm only writing a sentence.
Well, maybe instead of doing that, you could start with just writing out the things that are most prominent when you think about your manuscript, because those are probably the things that are most important.
Yeah.
Things that stick out the most.
Mm.
And they're probably the things that are the most interesting.
I see your point there. Yeah.
Burgess? Do you
Yes.
have any?
I'm sorry, somebody had asked me a question on the tweet chat about my journaling. They wanted to know if I journal by hand or if I journal digitally. I did a Instagram, Twitter picture earlier. I journal by hand. I actually have a writer's Bible. I just did a video about it too. And I found this, Tamara, and I don't know if you saw the picture, but I saw it. I got it for $1.99 at TJ Maxx, and when I bought it, I immediately thought about you.
What is this? Jeez. It's true, he didn't. I like it.
I think one of the things for me is that we've gotten so far advanced in writing from like when I very first started writing like poetry and short stories and stuff like that in high school, when I had to use a typewriter, when there wasn't a computer, there were barely even word processors. You know, this is the dinosaur age we're talking about. Back then a computer took up a whole room. But it's come so far, and I was looking through some stuff, and they have this new contraption called a Hemmingwrite. It's the cross between a typewriter and a fancy word processor. You can actually go online with it so you can save your stuff, but there isn't any Google or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or anything. You're just writing like you would on a typewriter, only it's kind of sort of got Wi-Fi, I guess, or maybe it can just hook into whatever. It's not like, I think they had like a Kickstarter program.
Oh,
But I
really?
was thinking if I'd have had the money, I would have put in. But I don't know. You get so used to juggling the distractions that I'm not sure that if I took away every single bit of the distraction that I could. I don't know. I'm not sure. How many of you write without anything online, like shutting off your internet and that kind of thing? I mean,
the only time I do that is if I'm, let's say, on the beach or something. Oh, is it still coming?
I can hear you.
I was hearing it. So, but yeah, so if I'm on the beach or if I'm out in the wooded area, or if I'm writing by hand. If I'm writing by hand, then I'm not paying attention to the internet, and girls, and everything. I'm like in that moment. But if I'm using my laptop, I have all the distractions.
I know, sometimes if I'm being really distracted, I will set a timer for like 20 minutes, and then I say 20 minutes, you can't do anything else but write, and that helps with the distractions online, because I only type on my computer, so it's right there, all the distractions.
I need to get one of those little egg timers.
Mm-hmm. Or if you use your phone, unless your phone's a distraction.
My phone makes noises and it gets on my last nerve. When I'm writing, I don't keep it in the room with me anymore if I'm really into writing seriously, because then I hear that you've got mail, and it drives me nuts. So if I know that, like, I'm going to get a phone call, I put it within hearing distance, like in the dining room, and I'll leave the door cracked. But so I can hear, like, if Mr. Rockstar calls because he has a specific tone. If it's my parents or one of my kids or my husband, I'll usually, like, I'll answer it, and there it goes. But otherwise, I don't worry about it until I'm done. Now, if it's not, like, I'm not in the writing zone and I'm just working on stuff, I don't worry about it. But I can't stand the constant. But I'm one of those people that when I sit down to eat dinner, if you're on your phone, it gets on my nerves. It's rude. I don't know. My kids do that. They're constantly doing this. And I'm trying to have a family dinner and they're doing this text thing.
And once I get home, I just put my phone away, and I usually don't even realize it's doing anything. Oh, we're getting into an echoing problem. Questions?
So, Lisa Lou asked us, does anyone write using a blank / distraction-free processor, like dark copy, focus writer? And isn't there one called, well, like Write or Not, kind of like that too, but it's more of if you stop writing, then it starts to leak. But I don't use any of it. I've thought about it, but I haven't. I don't even know why. But I think kind of like being in Scrivener, and I haven't started using that yet either. I just have like a programs, I guess.
You know, I've never tried Write or Die or any of those.
During that hour, I tried the live sprint, the sprint lives, and that was pretty easy to do, where you had to like race people. That was fine for me.
Samantha Anderson was talking about the journaling thing. She said, I put some of it on Twitter, but like she says, I have a whole bookshelf of journaling, but her problem is that the digital is so much faster. Susan Denard has on her website, on her blog, she talks about how having a writer's journal or writer's notebook is really helpful, and she has like actually pictures of hers and stuff. I started that. I used to have a notebook like in every room where if I'd get an idea or something, I would write it down for my novel or for a new novel or whatever. But I started writing about like my writing, like what was my word count, what was my goal, how was the writing going. I'd go back to it later and I write down like how well I did or what I thought about it, and I put little stuff down. Because I could technically, I guess, do it on the computer, but when it comes to my novel, some of this I want to remember and I want to have access to no matter where I'm at, so that if I get an idea, if I have a piece of dialogue or something and it's important, I can just write it down, and then I don't have to go back and look on the computer later or forget about it because I didn't write it down. I guess, I don't know, I'm not real big on live journaling for me. Because I'm a visceral person. I like to read it, write it, say it, see it, and I don't know. I love an empty journal, though.
I used to do journaling, and then I stopped recently. Not recently, like 2 years ago. So.
I have a personal journal that I write online that I use whenever the mood strikes me. I used to, years ago, keep an actual paper journal, but it was always just writing. I didn't any type of drawing or anything like that. But that's been a long time ago. Let's see, what's happening? Artemis Music is doing 30-minute. Would you guys want to do some like writing sprints on the Write Stuff hashtag?
I would.
I'm editing right now. So.
You guys out there in land, let us know if you want to do the Write Stuff right. And what I would probably do is just like do around 9 o'clock any day, and I would like send out some notices, and if you're interested, write it, watch it, write stuff.
So you get an idea. This is how far it goes, and I'm not a real big outliner. I'm a loose outliner. So when I very first started this outline, the only thing I had was this column, which is the character arc. And then as I went through and like got stuff, I have this part, which is the plot. Now, as you can see, I have nowhere near finished that part. And the very first part is the description, because it's like your hook. It's the 7-point plot system with the hook, the plot point 1, the pinch point 1, midpoint, pinch point 2, plot point 2, and then resolution. So the only thing I have filled, not one little thing for the subplot, but the only thing I have filled out all the way is the character arc. And I can go back and look at this and write more information in it. And I know that you can do all of this in Scrivener, but sometimes when I'm on the road or traveling or somewhere else and I don't have my computer, I don't like typing on that phone. It's a touch screen and I can't stand it. So I write it. I keep one of these with me all the time so that I can put stuff down in it. It's Amy and what's the other one that are like really, really big outliners? Because you had a very detailed outline.
I have so much outline. My favorite thing to do is outline.
I'm so jealous. I
can't do it.
It makes me jealous, though. I so wish I could.
I think sometimes you have to switch. You know, some people say they don't want to outline because they think it like disrupts the creative process. And I take outlining as my first draft. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to be creative in my outline that way and think of new ideas and different ideas, and that way I don't have to go down and rabbit holes that lead to nowhere.
Is anyone need any questions in YouTube chat? I keep looking over there, but it's not refreshing for me. So.
Me either.
Crap.
Burgess, I think your volume is a bit high, so it's getting all of our voices echoing back to your mic. Because I noticed when you talk, there's no echo, but when Tara and I talk, there's an echo. Maybe.
I'm hearing a little bit of echo sometimes.
I'm hearing echo.
Yeah, I hear it after any time that Tara and I talk. I always hear an echo. And if you guys haven't noticed already, if you go to the side, questions, and we're getting lots of questions from the girls just being awesome, asking us a bunch of things, or commenting on what we're talking about.
I wasn't really. I'm having trouble getting anything new on the tweet chat. I don't know, for whatever reason, it is not refreshing.
I see a conversation about happening by AM. ATT.
Finally.
I don't know whether is it still happening? Yes.
Does anyone use plot systems like the hero's journey for inspiration? Nina Foxta? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but Nina asked.
I don't specifically do the hero's journey, but I know I think sometimes it happens really naturally with the way you write. There's always going to be like and in the story there's kind of like rise and action. Some of the things I think is happening because so many books and movies you've seen follow that path. So I think it's kind of something that you might not try to specifically do, but it will naturally happen just because that's just kind of good storytelling.
I use a cross between Save the Cat and the hero's journey, and I'm trying to think of, it's not Marshall, it's somebody else. And for the life of me right now, I can't think of it. And I did a whole video about this, but it's just, I even have the beat sheet that combines the two, but I can't think of what it is right now. But I use that as like a guideline. Tamara?
Oh gosh, that is killing me. I'm just trying to as little as possible. I usually go for a 3-part kind of thing, beginning, middle, end. I don't really go for any specific arcs, I guess. Lisa Lou, she outlines the heck out of everything. It's the first time she's working without an outline, and she's dying. I'm what's technically called a loose outliner, or I guess the Word Nerds did a video and they called it an astronaut. It's also, like, I guess some people, we've been calling it like the plotster, the cross between the pantser and the plotter. But I do basic outline, like the main parts, like your first act, your second act, your last act, and then I'll plot out like some of the really big important plot points, just a couple of sentences, and then that's it. That's all I outline. I don't outline chapters, really, and I definitely don't outline scenes.
See, I outline everything. I do see sequels by Baldwin. I think does it, and sure I comes every one of my chapters, which is awesome.
I do have one hell of a character arc, like character sketch sheets, though. I tend to not outline a lot. I'll kind of do character sketch and sketches of the main characters, and which includes like their life and their personality and friends and all that stuff. And I'll do specific outline if I come a problem in the story where I'm not sure how to proceed. Okay.
Sarah had a question that I wrote down. I'm starting to read other people's stories, so I'm playing reader, and sometimes I fear that my comments come off mean because comedy is exactly like I would be thinking if I'm reading out loud. So sometimes I try to put a smiley face up there in my comment, or in hopes that it doesn't mean. If you guys have, how would you give feedback that way that doesn't seem like you're correcting the person?
Could you type it for me? I can't understand. You put that in the clothes, and you pour the bleach in that little triangle thing that's on the side.
So I asked how would you critique someone in a nice way? What are that you would specifically do?
I think critiquing is I used to get paid to do I'm not sure what the word. I was an English tutor, a writing tutor, a critique. I helped people with their essays and research papers and stuff like that when I was at college. And it was part of. I did it as like part of the work study program. And one of the things that they taught us when we were doing like critiquing and critique groups. Okay, I have headphones, but I'll have to use my laptop. The webcam sucks on my laptop. I'll just take the laptop. I guess I could take it off of here and put it on there.
Yeah, I think that would help with the
I'm not. Sometimes it works like great, and we don't have any problems, and other times it doesn't work so good at all. Speaking on my
Amy, were you critiquing? I really couldn't understand anything you said. Were you asking what methods to go about critiquing work?
I'm thinking other people's things and sometimes I worry that my comments come off to me, perhaps. And I do things like put a smiley face or do ask me hope that they don't get that I'm trying to be doing. So I'll see how do you make sure that your key comments feeling like you're attached to this person?
Because one of us are try to keep mute on your microphone and see if maybe that was off the word.
Okay, so let me just ask the question again. This seems to be working now. So I was saying that I am critiquing a few people's stories, and sometimes I fear that my comments come off as mean, and it's generally not from a mean place, so I'll put like a smiley face at the end of the comments, or a ha-ha, ha-ha, in hopes that they don't think I'm coming and attacking them. I was seeing if anybody had any other ways that they make sure that their writing doesn't come off as an attack when they are critiquing someone.
I can't remember the official term, but it's like making a shit sandwich. So you say something good, say something bad and then say something good, so that it's like a gentle patting, and people won't feel as though you're attacking them, because if they feel as though you're being overly critical or whatever, then they'll get all, in their feelings, because it's like we're birthing our little babies and sending them out into the world. So, yeah, a shit sandwich. I'm a professional. See, are there any other questions out here? I don't see any in the Twitter chat, but I'm not sure if this thing's actually refreshing.
I can't see any as well. I know they're talking about outlining. I could talk about how the way I outline, because I'm a big outliner, and it makes me happy to talk about outlining. I know usually I come up with the idea first, and I spend a few weeks on that, and then I eventually do the scene and sequel, where I map out each chapter, so I make sure that each chapter has a conflict, and that the emotion my character is feeling at the beginning of the chapter also does not, it's different, so if they start off happy, I need to make sure they're sad or some other emotion at the end of that scene, and then that scene flows into the next scene, and then usually I'll do like a one word or one sentence outline per chapter, that way it's kind of easier to move things around. But that's my outlining in a nutshell. The scene and sequel takes like forever. Like it's literally for every single scene in the story. So I can usually do about 4 a day, because it's so exhausting, because that's what I use for my first draft. So Tam, how do you outline, if any?
Barely. Very barely. I'm so nervous about letting you read this shit show that I'm going to be finishing up. But like I said, I'll do more of character sketches as character outlines, and the plot itself, I'll do outlines when I find that there's an issue with my plot. If things aren't moving along, then I'll stop and sketch out what should be happening in the scene and what this should be leading to. And I'll do like a very bare bones kind of overview of the story, so that I have the major points that I need to hit, and kind of muddle my way through each individual point leading up to those main plot points. So, but I'm not big on plotting. I don't enjoy it, though I've started to introduce more of it into my writing, because I feel as though it helps to connect things. But your method, I find it quite admirable, but I don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah, Burgess, do you want to say anything about your outline? I think you said that you do like a mix of both.
I'm a loose outliner. I am about to, on the tweet chat, put the link to my YouTube. Shout out, hello. Because I just did, and I forgot to put write stuff at the end of it. Damn it. I've struggled for the last like 3 or 4 years, definitely the worst, with trying to outline. I struggled. I did one hellacious outline. It was in Scrivener. It was color-coded. It was detailed. It was beautiful. Oh my God, it was beautiful. And then I didn't want to write the story, because to me I'd already written it in the outline. And it just didn't feel the same after that. Now, I have not gotten rid of that novel. I will later, maybe in a couple more years, go back to it. But I don't know. It took so much out of me outlining that I didn't want to have anything to do with it after that. So since then, I've been trying to find some middle ground between pantsing and plotting, because I can't, if I pants, I'll get stuff written, but it has plot holes, and I get saggy in the middle, and I end up editing along the way, and that's not a good thing, because you want to finish it and then go later and edit. So I don't know. I think I have finally found like a middle ground. I have a storyboard on my wall, no joke, with stick-it notes and index cards and washi tape, so that if like I don't have internet or I can't get Scrivener to open or my computer has its like thing, I can go right there on my board and like, you know, write whether or not I can get on a computer. Because it's just a very brief outline. It's like 2 or 3 sentences per 7-point plot.
I couldn't do that. Like I don't fear, but I hate writing from a blank page. So I think that's why I like NaNoWriMo so much, because it makes it so my blank page only lasts for 30 days. With my editing, I added like 3 new chapters, and I had to suffer through like writing them from scratch. So at least if I have an outline, I at least know kind of what I'm going for, so I don't have to bother writing it from scratch. So maybe that's why I outline so much, just so I can avoid the blank page fear syndrome thing I have going on.
Haha, a comment came up on YouTube. It's from Glamour143 Inc. She said, I hope this question hasn't been asked and answered, but how are you ladies able to stay motivated about writing your book? Do you take long hiatuses from writing? I don't take long hiatuses from writing because I write as a job. I'm a freelance writer, so I'm writing every day. However, I do take hiatuses from different projects because I'm the kind of person, I start a lot of projects, I finish them all, but I don't necessarily write on all of them continuously. And so, for instance, I started a children's book in this past month, and I'll probably go back to it maybe at the beginning of fall or so. I'll give it some time for it to breathe and to get some thoughts marinating, and then I'll go back to it. And that may be why I don't really give up on any of my novels. But there comes a point where you have to, of course, stick to one thing and finish it. And that's what I'm doing right now with this current novel. And I think the biggest thing that keeps me motivated and going is that I just really love the story, and I want to see it come to fruition finally. Amy, what keeps you going with your writing?
I usually set like mini goals. I'm really like a goal person, so with usually a break or 2 in there. Usually after, if I know I'm writing a bunch of new chapters, I know for me that would make me want to have a break. So if I'm writing like 3 new chapters, I'll have a day break between them. Just because I've learned over time that that's something I will need, just because I'm like that. You know, so setting the goals helps me keep motivated, and knowing that these goals that I have set are achievable for me really helps me stay focused. And then I always think, like, I always want to make the story better, and I have these self-push deadlines that make sure that every time I do it, I get a little bit better, and also focusing just on not making it perfect with each edit, but just making it slightly better with each edit. Really keeps me motivated, because I always think, like, oh, the next edit, if I don't get to it completely perfect this time, I know the next edit I will do will be completely perfect. And over time, it starts to get into a really solid story. So, Burgess, what do you do?
I was on Twitter. It finally did what it was supposed to do, and everything came up like all at one time. I have an inspiration board, and that helps because sometimes I look at it and it has like quotes and stuff on it that are aimed towards what my goal is and my dream to keep me motivated. I also have started going outside for 30 minutes to an hour every day, and just sitting in my lawn chair and kind of journaling about how my writing day is going and whatever my ideas are, and then I'll hang out in my little kiddie pool because my big one broke, and enjoy the sunshine for about 30 minutes, and then I go back in and write. I find that taking a walk or taking a hot shower or doing something other than in my writing space gets me out of that like zone, and it helps me become more motivated to write or something.
All right, so it looks like that we've hit the hour mark. So before I end this, I want to remind everyone that Write Stuff Tweet Chat happens every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitter. It's where writers talk about writing, and you can tune in and chat with us. Usually it's just a tweet chat, and we have a different topic every week. If you'd like to become involved with the Google Hangouts, or if you'd like to maybe submit some ideas for tweet chat topics, join the Google Hangout community, or I'm sorry, the G Plus community. I have tweeted out the link if you want to go over there and click on it and become a member of the crew. So I'd like to thank Amy and Burgess for being here with me, and that's been really awesome. And I'm glad that all of you guys out there in Twitterverse were there chatting with us, because it wouldn't be the same if you weren't here with us. And we will talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.